on the record. So does it say over on your screen, Drew, that's
Yep,
on the record?
on the record.
Perfect. Woohoo!
All right.
Everybody, this is Tim Cooper and Drew Eberlin, and we are here for another episode of the eCourse Domination podcast. As I said, I've got Drew here, and Drew is a social media marketer and a Udemy instructor, and today he's going to be talking to you about how to use Facebook advertising and marketing to promote and sell your e-courses, your Udemy courses, or whatever they may be. So, welcome, Drew. And
Thank you.
And could you just, before we sort of get into the interview, would you just give everybody a little bit of background about yourself?
Well, to start, kind of give you a quick little synopsis of my journey to becoming an online instructor and Facebook ads aficionado. My background is actually in sports and athletics. So Tim, you and I have a little bit of stuff in common there. My bachelor's degree is in exercise science, but I got a master's in sports marketing. I was in the United States Navy for 6 years. So did the military thing for a while, then went back to school and got into endurance sports coaching. And in that realm, you pretty much have to market yourself to make money. It wasn't until I was doing that for about 5 or 6 years that Facebook started exploding. So promoting myself via Facebook, even before advertising, that sort of thing. Then got into working for nonprofits and helping some adaptive sports organizations building their social media profiles and presence on there, which led me to kind of really get engaged with the Facebook marketing aspect. And then that just kind of stumbled into the advertising side of things with Facebook ads, learning that platform for my own personal benefit. And here I am now, 2 years later from running Facebook ads. I've been doing Facebook marketing on and off for about 5 years now. And so late last year, I decided to make my own course to put on Udemy. I've been a student on Udemy for about 4 or 5 years. And up until last year, I had no idea how I could actually contribute and monetize my knowledge. And then it finally hit me. I know a decent amount of information about Facebook ads that I think a lot of people could benefit from. And so now here I am blabbing with you about how to market on Facebook and hopefully increase your engagement and potentially run some effective ads.
That's awesome, Drew. And even in that introduction, you've brought up some very key and interesting points that could be an interview all on its own. It's saying, like, finding a topic that you can actually contribute to, like turn your experience into money. Because quite frankly, when I was coming into, I've been putting stuff up online for a number of years in the natural health area. And when I was looking at doing courses, I was initially looking at doing that. But I'm not going to take up this time on the interview saying why I didn't go down that line initially. Just say it was probably a controversial area. And even though I'm not a charlatan and I don't sell snake oils, it was still probably walking minefield. So I decided to go something a little bit less controversial and went into this side of things, like helping people. Okay, so Facebook ads, like, you can blow a lot of money if you don't know what you're doing. Probably not as much money that you could blow on Google, because you could go and have to put your house on a mortgage. But the Facebook ads, I've had varying success with Facebook ads. I've been able to get engagement. I've been able to get likes to my page. I've been able to get engagement to my post. Conversion-wise, like even at local business level, and also for my online stuff, conversion-wise, it's now, and we're going to talk about that, like how to target and how to do this all right. But I think it's important that people sort of understand from the outset that Facebook is what they call intrusive marketing, so that people don't go onto Facebook to specifically look for you or your product. They go onto Facebook to see how many times somebody cleaned their teeth or walked their cat or whatever else. And so then, based on, and as you're going to say, Facebook's knowledge of you, then they're going to feed ads to you based on your interest. But there's still like people aren't going to Facebook to look to buy. It's not that
Right.
market. The Google, if people don't jump on Google, they're looking for something, and if they're looking for a product, they're looking to buy, and they're in that buyer's mindset. So this is all about using strategy and make it enticing. And obviously, you're not going to turn around and say, "Look, buy my course. Here's a link." You've got to build, start the relationship and everything else, don't you? So, what is the number one step when it comes to building your breadcrumb trail, so to speak, to course sales?
All right. Well, I know in take number one of this interview, I had a different answer than what I'm going to give you right now. I kind of got it flip flopped last time. So number one is get your own website, your own domain. It doesn't have to be intricate. Someone like myself, I don't have an IT background, but I learned about WordPress about 4 or 5 years ago. And so just something as basic as even just a single landing page with a little about me section, a link to your social media profiles, and an opt-in. Number one, get that done. Don't wait any longer. You can find all kinds of crazy coupon codes for joesmith.com. Probably joesmith.com is probably taken, so you might have to find something different. But something along those lines, whether it's your brand name. I actually own way too many domain names because I never know what path I want to go down. But get them for $10. You can get private registration, a URL, slap WordPress on there. Go to my YouTube channel. I've got some basic little setting up basic plugins. Get that done. Step number one, establish your online persona, whether it's using your name or a brand that you want your audience to relate with.
Perfect. Okay. And you can drop a link to your YouTube channel or how people can find you on YouTube just into that chat bar for, excuse me?
Yep.
For future reference. Okay. That's a fantastic. I can see where you're going with this now, and that's gold. Okay. Step two.
So step two is then, so obviously we're talking about Facebook marketing and Facebook advertising. If you don't have a Facebook page for your business, make one right now. And I want to be very clear that you should make one, whether your business is your personal name or a different name, you need it to be separate from your personal Facebook page. You know what? Your parents are going to like every post you make, but they're not going to buy your product. They might buy you dinner from time to time, but that's not going to pay the bills. So make a business page. One reason you need it to interact with your potential audience too, if you do decide to run Facebook ads, you have to have a Facebook page to link it up to, unless you're just doing right-hand column ads, which is a whole nother conversation. That's the only type of ad type that you don't need a business page attached to, but you're not going to be able to relate to your audience very, very well with just a right-hand column ad. So make a business page, get those links on that website, which was step number one, and just start adding some, what I call kind of ungated, low-level content with little tips and tricks. 7 ways to do this, 7 ways to take better pictures, the top 10 best WordPress plugins, just stuff like that you can share and start engaging an audience. Even though initially you probably won't have an audience, get some of that content on there so when people do find you, they have something to kind of learn a little bit about you.
That is fantastic, because now we're talking about building a relationship, which social media is all about, isn't it? Like, social media isn't about smacking people in the face with your with your products and services and doing high pressure sales and pitching all the time. I remember reading a book by Gary Vaynerchuk saying jab, 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 right hook, I think is the name of it. So give value, give value, give value, give an offer, give value, give value, give value, give an offer. And it maybe doesn't have to be sort of as stringent as that. But the point is that we know that people buy from those they know, like, and trust. So before they get to know, like, and trust you, they've got to get to know, like, and trust you. And so this is
Right.
where we do it on social media. And the other thing that we talk about when we look at email campaigns is that how many times you've actually got to touch a prospect before they buy. And sometimes they can be up to 12 times or even more. Sometimes you're lucky. Sometimes
The average
they
is
might have already
7,
heard about you.
right? The average is about seven times somebody viewing something before they'll actually take action on it.
Mm. So this is the important side. And as our good friend Mark Timberlake says, social media is not the platform to initiate a sale. Social media is the platform to create value, build relationships, and then just sprinkle some breadcrumbs back to your property, whether it be your website, a Udemy page, a used Fedora,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you're promoting. You sprinkle your breadcrumbs back, but you are providing free content. You're providing value, and you're building relationships on the social media platform. That's what that's all about.
Exactly. And one thing I like to do whenever somebody kind of asks me, or I also help some small businesses with their Facebook marketing and advertising. And my very first ad I like people to run is almost like an about me ad. You're introducing yourself and your brand to people that have never heard of you before. Most people don't know who I am. If I ran my first ad to a landing page saying, "Hey, opt in for this awesome ebook I have. You have no idea who I am, but I want your email address, so give it to me." My conversion rate is going to stink. My ad costs are going to be through the roof, and it's just going to be a big flop. So you either do an about me post, or my favorite ads to introduce to a new audience are blog posts. So ungated content. So, we're talking about Facebook marketing. I have some links I'm going to share. My latest blog post, A Beginner's Guide to Facebook Marketing. I have an ad going to an audience right now with that one. Sure, I have opt-in forms on my site, but that's not the main goal. The main goal is to position myself as somebody that knows a lot about Facebook marketing to this audience. So then down the road, I will then, pitch them an opt-in or a webinar or whatever it may be, or my Facebook ads course if they, decide they want to learn it for themselves rather than have me teach it to them. So there's really steps to it, and it all goes back to, one, knowing what you're trying to accomplish and then developing some sort of funnel for that. So your blog post or about me ad would be step one in that funnel. Step two would be potentially sending a lead magnet type offer, some freebie offer or low priced offer to your warmer audience. And then from there, you can start moving them down that funnel to then ask for bigger and better things. So it's all a process. And if people kind of go at it the right way, they'll get a lot more bang for their buck, so to speak.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I like the way you talk about the soft opt-in, because that's the way that my website is set up too. And if somebody, because I don't want to start typing on my phone because it's going to go all jiggly and people get a headache and probably vertigo and whatever else. If somebody just type into the chat bar, my ecoursedomination.com website, that is once again full of free information, and there's no opt-in required. All that information is readily available. You just pop on there, you have a look, and it's got access to all the past podcast episodes with all the show notes, all the resources. Everything is there for the taking. But as Drew says, there are also different various opt-ins, but for different things on that page, and they're sitting there. And if people want to use them, they can, but they're under no obligation. There's no pressure, and they shouldn't feel like they're being pitched to. They're just there to say, if you want more information, go here. Okay, so let's go to what are we up to? Step.
Well, I probably covered step 3 and 4 in that. So step 2 was making your business page. Step 3, so we're taking it from you have zero audience, would be introducing yourself, to
Yeah.
the new audience. We'll call it maybe step 3A or step 3B. If you have an audience or a list already, there are ways that you can actually import your email list into a Facebook custom audience, which another link I'm going to throw in here is an article I did, or 5 ways to set up Facebook custom audiences. So if you have an email list already, not saying your job's easy, but it's easier than if you have 0 emails or audience, because you can kind of capture their attention. Now, therein lies the trick. If you're on Udemy's platform, as most of us are or started out with, you probably don't have many of those people's emails, because getting them off of Udemy onto your own platform is tricky. You have to be very creative. And I know there's been numerous blabs with friends of ours that have talked about those. Look up Mark Timberlake or Dennis Smith or any of those guys on a weekly basis talking about how to capture your audience off of Udemy. But
And you've also got to play within the rules, because Udemy, if you don't do it, play by their rules and do it their way, you're going to end up in lots of strife. Just before we go too much further, Drew, I can't see the comments because I'm on this phone, and so I can't see too much going on. Is there anything? Has anybody put anything in there that we need to address at this point before we go too much further?
Not Evangelos, if you can hear me, I know you put an Aweber link in there, but that just went to the sign-in page. So I wasn't sure if you were trying to get feedback on an actual opt-in form or what it was. So maybe throw that back in the chat window and I'll take another look at it. That was it.
Cool. Okay, so let's keep on moving on because we're 15 minutes in. So let's go to step 4.
So step 4, once you've kind of warmed up to your audience, now this is all assuming that they've been receptive to what you've been, putting in front of them so far. You'll be able to gauge that by looking at your ads report. If you're getting clicks to your website, if you're getting email signups, even though that wasn't the end goal of, step 3, then you've hit your audience properly. And I'll just touch on it briefly. Targeting in Facebook is very, very important. If I could do a screen share on here, I'd show you exactly where to go. It's called Audience Insights. So if anybody has Facebook Ads Manager, go to the very top, click Tools. There'll be a drop down, click Audience Insights, and grab some coffee and be prepared to waste hours of time researching your target audience. So there's my quick little tip on that. So it would be kind of step 4, gauging your audience, split test in different messages, and then trying to get them to convert either on an opt-in, or let's say you have multiple courses. Let's say I have one course that's just Beginner's Guide to Facebook Marketing for nobody that's ever did any marketing on Facebook. They don't even have their business page set up. Possibly I set that up as a free course on Udemy or on my own platform. I engage with them. They get value from it. And then from there, I'm sending them offers and information. Hey, now that you've gone through my Beginner's Guide to Facebook Marketing, do you want to learn how to effectively advertise on Facebook? And then I'm presenting that offer to an audience that I know is already receptive to what I have, to my higher priced Facebook ads course. And so any instructor out there, doesn't matter what industry you're in, I would have at least 2 or 3 tiers of your subject matter set up. One that's almost a lead magnet / low priced offer tier, maybe a mid-level, and then your last level could be potentially one-on-one coaching, consulting, to where you're charging $300 a month or whatever your going rate is. That's how you're going to really make the most money from your expertise, as opposed to hoping that you get $9 a student from a Udemy course.
You're singing my song, Drew. You're singing my song. I'm going to be doing some, um, especially I said this. We're going to keep this on topic, so I've got, and it's my job to keep it on topic, so I've got to keep myself under control. But I've actually got a list of topics here, and one topic is, put Udemy in its place inside your business. And Udemy is very good as a cog in the wheel, but it's not the wheel. And people have got to. It concerns me when I hear instructors just saying that they're happy to take $10 for something that I think it's a mindset thing. And one of the and I'll be doing a lot of podcasting and a lot of talking about mindset and like the $100 bill and the $1 bill. They look, it's printed on the same paper, it's used the same ink.
Right. But, yeah. One of the Facebook groups I'm in, somebody was asking about Udemy, and they're like, you know what, I just found out about Udemy. I'm thinking about putting a course on there. How should I go about it? That sort of thing. And my initial comment, I didn't go in any super detail. I basically just said it's a good platform, but I would not put my top level content on there. And that's probably the biggest thing I could tell any online instructor out there. Just like you said, it's a cog in the wheel, but do not put your top level content on there, because you're basically then you're undervaluing your expertise.
Exactly. Okay. Now, so you can blow a lot of money on Facebook ads, just like you can blow anywhere. And the biggest way to blow money is not to target. So when you're setting up your ad and you don't get your targeting specific, and this is the problem. Like in other areas, it's very easy. Like say in my clinic situation, it's very easy because I'm looking for people who are into sport, who are injured, who are like all professional athletes who need to get back into the game. So they're pretty easy to find and target. If you're in the internet marketing space, whatever, you can get some high rollers in that game, and Facebook has probably got categories there saying so you could target. So you could say, if you like Eben Pagan, then you'll love this, and you can actually sort of just target people who like Eben Pagan and sort of ride off his coattails, so to speak.
Right.
When it comes to my niche, when I'm looking for targeting for online instructors and helping online instructors, I find that a little bit difficult, because I look at the type in the big rollers like Alan Hill and these guys who are earning serious money.
Right.
I'm
yes.
not getting anything there. And then if I type in, say, Udemy, I pick up 3 million people interested in that. But 99.5% of those 3 million people are interested in Udemy courses. They're not interested in becoming an instructor. So then, once again, I've got no problems getting people to follow. I've just got that problem with the conversion side. So let's talk about some secrets because when you get your targeting perfect, this is where you can get 2 and 3 cent leads, and because now you are really pinpointing who's seeing that ad.
Yeah, exactly. And the first thing I would suggest people do, the last link I just put in the chat goes to a quick little YouTube video I made that's called Reverse Engineering the Facebook Ads You See in Your Own Newsfeed. Most of the time, us online instructor educators follow or are interested in similar things to what our topic is. So we're on a daily basis getting presented with ads, whether it's on our desktop or mobile, that sort of thing. That video will show you exactly how to see, one, how you're being targeted. 2, it'll take you to a link where you can manage your ad preferences, which I suggest people do not opt out of any of those little buckets that Facebook has put them in, because it really gives you a lot of information. So if you basically go to your manage ad preferences, it'll really open your eyes to kind of how powerful and creepy Facebook is. They're putting us all in buckets, not only based off of the pages we like or the searches we do on Google and that sort of thing, but even how we interact with a post. if we comment on a post, just use my own example. The other day, a friend of mine made a comment about a new drone camera that was coming out. And I'm kind of interested in that kind of stuff. So I commented on it and said, oh, that looks a lot like this one. Not even an hour later, I've got an ad in my newsfeed that SurveyMonkey is doing a giveaway for a free drone camera. Earlier that same day, I interacted on a post talking about surveys and SurveyMonkey. So Facebook lumps you up into these groups based on all kinds of things. It'll open your eyes when you get into audience insights. But one thing I would suggest you to do, because internet marketers and online educators are tough to really nail down and crack, would be find a sub niche of those that that audience is interested in or follows. And that way, then you can just kind of drill down your targeting as opposed to just trying to find. I know what you mean about Udemy. There is no, I think the only Udemy targeting is Udemy for photographers. I believe there's a target group for that potentially, if my memory serves me correctly. So there's not very many interest for online educators or online course instructors. But if you do a little research, even if it's just going online, finding out different associations or websites that these people follow, you might find out that a lot of online educators follow Smart Passive Income by Pat Flynn, which you can target on Facebook. And then crafting your message in it, I would even put, are you an online educator? Are you looking to expand your reach? You have a course on Blab and Periscope. Hey, online educators only, are you looking to expand your reach with Blab or Periscope? And then maybe point them to a blog post. Here, I've got, 4 quick steps to, get started with Periscope, get started with Blab. And then from there, since they're warm, then maybe, you pitch them on your intro course. All right, you like that content. Now I have you in a custom audience. I can retarget you and say, hey, hopefully you like that blog post on Periscope or Blab. Here's my course for X amount of dollars. So that's kind of how you have to target it and funnel it to really capture their attention. You have to get creative.
Yep, awesome. And now, as we're saying, like this is a Blab session. So people who are going to be listening to my audio podcast from tomorrow, because this is going to go live on my iTunes podcast from tomorrow. So we are taking a different approach now to our interviews. We are doing them on Blab, so we have a video option as well. And it may sound a bit weird as I introduce or as I welcome people along to the audience. And so we're a little way in, and people have come and gone, which is the way that Blab works. I just like to welcome the people who have popped on since we started, and just invite them to ask any questions in the question bar by just putting a /Q and then your question. And if it's on topic, Drew may answer it. The seat will be open, and we'll open up for general discussion once the actual interview process is over. So once we've finished our interview, then we'll open up for general discussion. So stick around, and then also at the end, I'm sure Drew will drop a link so you can get a very, very valuable course for a very nice price. Okay, sorry about that, Drew. I just wanted to sort of bring those.
No worries. Okay,
now, Drew. So we've got our targeting and all that sort of stuff. What probably some of the most, I don't want to sort of lead this interview to a point where you're not getting some important information across as well. So let's just focus. What is some very important information that we've got our targeting set up, we've got our ads running, we are giving value, we're building a relationship, we're dropping breadcrumbs. No, we're not bashing people around their head saying, buy my product, pitch, no, right hook, until people are seeing stars, right? So, and you're talking about retargeting, but there's also pixels, aren't there?
Right. Yeah. Thanks for asking that. I knew I was going to open up a little can of worms whenever I said the R word. But there are ways to retargeting. It goes back to what we said at the beginning, that on average, people need to see something almost 7 times before they're going to take action. So Facebook gives us these things called custom audience pixels and conversion tracking pixels that we can place on our website, which, if we recall, was the number one thing to get set up. So now that you have a website, you're able to install these custom audience pixels, which one of the links on there, let's see, 5 ways to set up Facebook custom audiences. We'll show you the different ways that you can do that. And on my YouTube channel, I also have a link that shows how to install them on WordPress sites, which I need to update because a couple things have changed, but most of the stuff's still relevant. So I'll throw that link in there as well. So, step number 1 before you even place your first ad should be getting those pixels installed, because the whole point of placing the breadcrumbs, warming up your audience, is so you can actually start building what we like to call an invisible list with those custom audience pixels. So it's all associated with people's Facebook logins, IDs. You don't get access to any of that information, but Facebook tracks it and puts them in your own special little bucket of people that visited your website or a certain blog post, however you define the rules for it to track. And so from there, you're able to send other offers to literally just that custom audience. So if you want to, send an opt-in offer or a low ticket priced offer for your intro course just to that custom audience, because they're familiar with you, you have that ability. The other thing you can do with those custom audiences that are built from those tracking pixels, if you have enough of them, you can actually build what they call a lookalike audience, where Facebook will go out, their little algorithm robots will scour Facebook for people similar to those that are already in your custom audience. It'll be a huge number. Typically, they'll go out and find like 2.1 million people, which obviously you don't want to target that many. But then you bring it down a notch by throwing in a broad interest. So let's just say, for sake of argument, there's an interest out there called online educators, which there isn't, but I wish there was, because it'd make our jobs a lot easier. So you get that 2.1 million people, you throw in online educators, and now potentially that 2 million is only 350,000. So you have a much more targeted audience. Lookalike audiences, they're kind of fickle. So I would always suggest testing like you do with any ad. I test them. I rarely get much good return for them, but I keep testing them because I want to know if it's going to work or not. And it's all about tweaking your message and your targeting with those. But it's another tool Facebook gives you to use. The one caveat I always like to mention anytime you're adding tracking pixels on your website, follow Facebook's advertising guidelines to a T, because if you don't, they will ban your account and there is no asking for forgiveness. Facebook is a one-way street. It's their way or no way. I am speaking from experience. And so follow their advertising guidelines. Make sure you have terms, privacy policy, contact links in your footer. My example, this was early on in my Facebook ads career a couple years ago. I didn't know you needed those type of links on every page you were driving ads to. And so on one page, I forgot to have those links. 2 days later, my account's banned and I'm having to kind of start all over. So tracking pixels are step 1B. Reading Facebook advertising guidelines and follow the rules is step 1A.
Awesome. Anything else? Like, what about when we're talking about targeting? what is a good number to look at? Because obviously, if we just type in, say, Udemy, and it says, woohoo, like for, and also what countries are best to target? I see a lot of people, they just seem to target like United States, United Kingdom, Canada, and Australia. I think are the four top ones that they
Right.
market. Poor old New Zealand doesn't even get a look in. And there's other English-speaking countries that aren't even considered. So I know there is some strategy behind it, because I see, like, if I'm studying internet marketing, and the top internet marketers, when they're setting up their Facebook ads and they're stepping you through, they're only ever hitting those four. And now, say, then you're saying you want people with, okay, now you want to have some sort of idea of your demographic. If you're looking at, you've got to make some sort of assumption that if you're targeting online instructors, that they're going to be sort of maybe 25 plus, maybe an 18-year-old isn't going to be looking at creating a course, so you can cut down there. Then we talk about the interests, and so we put in these broad interests, and all of a sudden we've got 11 million people. We don't have 11 million people targeted, do we?
No, my kind of sweet spot for running ads to an audience that doesn't know who I am or my name or my brand, I'll aim anywhere from about 400 to 750,000 for my audience. Some people like 500 to a million. I have never read or seen anybody suggest trying to initially target an audience over a million, because it's just too broad. I don't even really, lately, the biggest audience I've initially ran ads to is about 600,000, because even at that, I get a little iffy that it might be a little too, broad for my message and that sort of thing. But on the flip side, if you go too narrow, I've also tested audiences that are only about 8,000. In my mind, I think I have it super, super targeted, and that those 8,000 people should be very receptive. And sometimes it doesn't work out that way, and your ad costs are a lot more. So if you're running cold traffic to, audience that doesn't know you, kind of 400 to 750,000, I think is a good place to aim for. And then from there, you want to scale it down. You want to, like you mentioned, age ranges there. So you want to look at your reports, see where most of those clicks came from. If you're running it to 25 plus, but only people age 35 to 54 are interacting, then your next ad can be drilled down to 35 to 54-year-olds in the United States and the United Kingdom, and that sort of thing. So that's why initially running ads on Facebook can get expensive, because you're having to test all these variables out. But that's why I always recommend somebody just sticking in their main niche or industry, or not trying to make online courses for 5 different subjects and trying to promote them all at the same time when they've never run Facebook ads before. So let's just take your latest courses, Blab and Periscope, for an example. You're looking at people that are into live streaming, that are early adopters, most likely, into technology and making money online or for themselves. So, you do your market research, you find out, okay, I know really not anybody younger than 30 might be paying money for this kind of content, but let's shoot for 25 and up just to check. So you have to test that. And then from there, you're building those custom audiences up. You're looking at your Facebook ads report, which is like watching grass grow. It's not fun at all. It's time consuming, but it's something you have to do, so you really know kind of who your customer avatar is that you're going to be pitching to.
Yeah, so, and I did exactly, well, with that Periscope course, and I might actually do it with the Blab course. I reckon the Blab is going to do better, because Blab is just absolutely amazing. So is Periscope.
Right.
But with that, I actually made a lead magnet. So I think it's about a 16-page lead magnet on how to use Periscope as an online instructor and coach. And if people go to my website, there's a nice little soft opt-in for that particular lead magnet. There's also an opt-in page, and that's what I actually did on Facebook. I set up an ad to that the link opt-in page for that particular course offering, right?
Right.
And then obviously to gain the email addresses, because the money's in the list. And like people hear this all the time, hear it all the time, is because the money's really is in the list, and you need to get that email. Now I know Udemy had sort of softened asking for email addresses as long as it's within guidelines. And but I'm just really, I've already had a minor run in with Udemy because I misinterpreted one of their policies. And even though it was my intention to be a good boy and to follow their policies to the nth degree, my interpretation of their policies got me an email from them saying, "Can you just slide that lecture down to the bottom of your course?" So I've done that, and now I've gone through and I've disabled some other things that for courses that were developed 12 months ago, but now probably aren't in line with their policy. And that's a big scary thing for Udemy instructors who've got 50 odd courses. Some done 5 years ago have gone through the review process, have been approved, and now they're not compliant. It's going to be a big job. So all I'm saying is, coming back, is that Udemy, if you follow their current guidelines, because who knows what they're going to do tomorrow, because they seem to like to change the rules. And this is why I say put Udemy in its place. It is a cog in a bigger wheel. It should never be the big wheel for you, because tomorrow they can turn around and say you can only sell a course for $10. You can't. And and if you want to play in their playground, that's what you can do.
Yeah.
If you follow the moment, there are conditions where you can actually legitimately send them to an opt-in and get an email address. But it's very strict. Who knows, that may change.
It is crazy. And I actually feel very fortunate that I kind of became a Udemy instructor kind of late to the game, just last fall, last winter. And it didn't take me very long at all to kind of figure that out. And that's one reason I haven't put any more courses on there yet. It's because if I'm running paid traffic, I want that to be going to my own landing page, my own website, where I'll then host my own training on my own platform and, actually get the value for what my expertise is worth. Like you mentioned, there's still a place for, some of the content on Udemy, but you really need to think about kind of what your end goal is. If you're content with, potentially getting students at $9 a pop, then that's fine. It all just needs to be based on what your end goal is. Obviously, I want to maximize my revenue. I feel like I've got a fairly unique skill set of the Facebook ads platform, Facebook marketing, and that sort of thing. And I know it's worth more than $9, but if I'm running paid ads to it, that's why if you're only selling a $9 course eventually and you're still trying to warm up your audience, you're going to be losing money in the long run if you're not directing that cold audience to your own platform, whether it's, I think there's Zippy courses or Fedora or however you host it. It could be even live training where you do, live webinars and people get access to the videos on your own platform hosted that way. So really kind of go back to the drawing board, think about what you want to accomplish as an online educator. And if it's maximizing your revenue, which it should be, put some good, almost view Udemy as kind of your lead magnet content. Draw them in that way. Yeah. Instead of trying to come up with a crazy awesome ebook to give away, make an intro free course on Udemy that's only 45 minutes or an hour. Doesn't take you a lot of time to do that. Draw people in that way. At the end of it, throw in your little slide saying, want more information or want to stay more in touch with this, check out my website here. Throw a nice little pop-up on there, capture email address, and now you got them off the Udemy platform on into your own little world, which is where you're really going to see the biggest return on your investment.
Absolutely. I can't agree. I can't agree more, Drew. I think that's the strategy that I'm now adopting for future courses. That I'm going to use Udemy as I better not say it on is that gaming the system using Udemy as a lead generation? But
Right.
what but I think we're going to see this more and more is that people are going to and please we are still talking about delivering value. So
Right.
if I'm going to, because I know that course is going to always go out on some sort of promo for $10 because that's just the way Udemy runs these days. I get sales coming in for all these different coupons, all these different codes all the time, and it's always $10. So we know that. But make sure you are delivering value, making sure that you are delivering a solution, taking away a pain, and making sure that you
Exactly.
say even delivering like $100 worth of value for that $10. And then, but that it can be an intro course, but you are still leading them to a solution. Then you say, if you want an even better solution, or if you want to dig deeper, as your last lecture, send them to, as Drew said, send them to either another resource, either a landing page, and saying, okay, now if you want to learn more, here's my comprehensive course. It's over on Fedora, and you can get that for $197. And now then bringing Drew's what Drew mentioned earlier on, saying then you can get the course by itself for $197. You can get an hour Skype call with me plus the course for $297. If you are teaching them a particular skill, like how to do research, or whatever, you can say, I'll actually do the work for you, and I will give you a report of that research for $500. So you can give this Goldilocks pricing, and as we know with research, people normally take the middle option. So you were going to maximize your income. But I said, what worries me with Udemy, and this is probably a topic and something to go into more depth in another episode all by itself, is that people are getting into this low value mindset. I just want to tell a little story. When I opened up a clinic late last year, I was it was a new clinic in a new area, and I had to build up a clientele. And the owner of the clinic was pressuring because they wanted money. Okay, and so they were sort of encouraging me to do all these massive discounts. So I'm a very highly skilled therapist, and I was having to give out these treatments for very, very cheap. When I wasn't giving a discount, the clients were coming back and they were saying they were waiting for the next discount. I had effectively created a discount mentality with my clients. I had to close that clinic. I wasn't making any money. They would only come to me if I was massaging at half price. Last month, I opened up a new clinic. Totally different mindset on myself and the owner of that clinic. We said, you're a specialist. You're not going to give your stuff away for free. Now, I was very quiet for the first 2 weeks. I still had clients, but very quiet. Now, this week, I've had more clients. Next week, I'm almost booked out at full price. And the moral of the story is patience and marketing and doing all those other bits and pieces. And I think what happens, a lot of people are they're too quick. They want to make the money. They're eager. And maybe it's a confidence thing too. So they need to see those sales to get the confidence. And so that's why they're quite happy for all their knowledge, like their wealth of knowledge, to go out very, very cheap. What people have got to realize is that there are people out there, with selling more or even less knowledge and making a lot of money because they've got a totally different mindset. And it's your attitude towards it. It's going to say whether you've got to chase 10,000 people to make $1,000 a month, or chase 1,000 people to make $100,000 a month. That's a choice. Drew, is there anything else that we should really be covering in this how-to?
We covered the big things. Getting a website, getting that Facebook page. I definitely recommend people. Obviously, it'd be nice to sign up to my Facebook ads course, but if you don't, go out there and research a little bit about Facebook advertising before you start dumping money into it, because I like to equate Facebook to the Cookie Monster, since they're both blue. The Cookie Monster will eat whatever you put in his mouth. No matter how much or how little money you put in the little Facebook machine, whether you're making anything from it or not, they're going to eat it. So you really need to do your research before you start putting money into Facebook advertising. It still is relatively cheap compared to Google ads. I've ventured into the pay-per-click Google search engine advertising, and every time I try, it's just too expensive. So I just keep coming right back to Facebook, because you can't target any better. But granted, like we mentioned right from the get-go, people aren't getting on Facebook to buy stuff. They're getting on it to, look at cat and dog videos, see what they're not getting on there to see what their friends ate for dinner last night, but their friends are showing it to them anyway. That sort of stuff. So you have to be very smart with your message. And that's why telling your story, introducing yourself, giving away value to draw in that audience. I'd like to think that the blog posts that I run ads to, which are links on the right there, could help a lot of people out. And I'm not charging anything for that. Like I mentioned, I have opt-ins on there, but I'm not, that's not my main goal from it. I'm just trying to build a rapport with that audience I'm running those ads to, so they view me as the expert in that category, as opposed to, the next person. Obviously, the end goal is for me to pitch them my training, my expertise, for a price, because, I'm not in this just to help Mark Zuckerberg pay for his real estate investments, even though sometimes that's what it seems like I'm doing. This is what I do for a living. And somebody else mentioned this. I think this is pretty widely known over the internet. If you're into this kind of stuff as an online educator or making money online from your expertise, you need to treat it as a business and not a hobby. If it's just a hobby, then by all means, keep feeding money into the machine. But you really need to have that this is a business mindset. Do your research, find your target audience, put out the right message, and the return on that investment will follow if you do it the right way, like we've been talking about this whole time.
Awesome. And you're going to drop a link to your course into the chat.
Now, we got it here. There we are, right there. So you can pick up my Facebook Ads Mastery course on Udemy for a whopping $9, since that seems to be the magic number. I'd like to think that you'll get a ton from it, and I'm answering questions. I love it whenever I get questions. I was an endurance sports coach for 10 years. I come from a family of teachers, so it's just in my DNA to help people. So get in there, check out the content, be engaged, ask me questions. I'm more than happy to help.
It's awesome. Thanks, Drew. And thank you for your time. Now we're going to open up. We're going to keep this still on the record, but the official podcast interview has come to a close. But I am going to open up the seat. So if anybody wants to pop in and have some one-on-one coaching with Drew and have any questions. I did see questions that said, I'm on my phone and I see one question and then nothing comes through, just scrolls away. But I did see, I see we've got somebody coming in.
And then I see Alex sent us a question over there. There he is.
Alex is actually coming into the room.
Alex, how you doing?
Good. How's it going? It's been interesting.
Good. Thank you. I see your question over there. It's a very intriguing one.
Yeah, I don't know if I can clarify it. I don't think I phrased it the right way. But, I guess from many marketers like the big hesitation with Facebook is that A few experiments that we've run is, you sort of target geographically. Let's say you're targeting the state of New York. And then when you go to your Google Analytics, you see kind of the visitation all over the world. So either it's fake traffic or everybody is on a on a VPN or something like that. So what is your stance? What do you know about that? What has been your experience? I'd just be interested in listening to.
I kind of question that myself sometimes, but I think from what I've seen personally, most of it is proper, mainly because I'm very kind of OCD when it comes to my ads. So I'm constantly looking at them. Not every time, but a lot of times I'm clicking on the person's profile that's liked my post or engaged with it. I'm, looking at where they're at. I'm actually going down their page and checking out their likes to see what interest they have to make sure they're actually in my target audience. And I will say 9 times out of 10, that holds true. I've actually got away from kind of double checking my Google Analytics and cross-referencing with my Facebook ads because with all the darn refer spam and bots and stuff that are clogging up Google Analytics these days, it's almost like I don't know who to trust.
Who's telling the truth?
So I really dive deep into kind of my Facebook ads report, and I actually use a product called Ad Espresso to run my Facebook ads, and they've got some cleaner reporting than what Facebook does. Sometimes it's a little easier to navigate. But I will admit there's some clicks and stuff that I get some likes that I'm like, where the heck did that come from? What I have found in the past is that I would get a lot more of that kind of stuff when I would run just like campaigns as opposed to click to website campaigns, which I don't actually do like campaigns anymore because I just have not seen the return on those. The bigger return on investment, I think, are your click to websites ads, because if somebody likes your page from your click to website ad, that means they were engaged in that content,
right?
As opposed to them just, thinking that your little thumbnail looks cool, so they're going to like your page because Facebook told them to like your page. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that was actually my next question was, do you see any validity in the like campaigns? Because I'm with you in terms of the ROI. It becomes very tricky, but I've heard from other people that say that the like campaigns are good for kind of experimenting an audience, right? Experimenting with content directed towards a type of targeting, and then you can do it a lot cheaper than if you just run a click to website. You can just kind of test that audience out, how they respond to your content, and then you can direct the click to websites. Obviously, you're paying more as a whole for the campaign, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
I would almost place that one in it almost depends on what niche somebody's in.
That's
category. Because that one is tricky. I used to kind of almost embarrassed to admit this, but last year I was into selling T-shirts on Teespring, which it seems like 99% of Facebook does now. But the whole theory with me capturing an audience was making a random Facebook page that was labeled to that niche I was targeting. And I would do that. I would run some like campaigns, or I would do just a page post engagement with a shirt or something to even see if that audience interacted with that design before I started running click to website ads to it to try to get people to buy that shirt type of thing. And that's why it's kind of tricky with like campaigns, because now, the audience I'm going after, I'm eventually hoping that they're going to pay me $300 for a 6-week live training with me to walk them through email and Facebook marketing. That doesn't really benefit my end goal to just run a like campaign and hope that down the road they might pay me $300 for 6 weeks of training with me.
Yeah,
I know I feel like I kind of skirted your question, but
Oh, no.
it almost needs to kind of be in the context of the market you're eventually trying to monetize from.
No, I think it's a great answer, and maybe to add to that, what my hesitation has been is that a person that clicks on a like, just I guess that tactic seems to assume that just because a person clicks on a like, it's analogous to clicking to a website. And to me, there's just completely different mindsets.
Exactly. Well, they're different mindsets, and Facebook knows that. So they're delivering those ads to people that have proven themselves to be likers on Facebook.
Right.
If you're running a clicks to website ad, they're delivering those to people that have shown the most likelihood to actually click on a link or click on that photo to go to your website. Same goes for, conversion pixels, or if you run a conversion ad. Now you need to have at least 25 to 50 conversions already for Facebook to really optimize that ad set properly.
Right.
But those are the type of buckets Facebook is putting us all into.
Right.
I like to trick them, and I like everything, and I click on websites. That way Facebook's confused about the type of person I am. And that's why, in my experience, the like campaigns just haven't had very much return, or in engagement, with the post, because basically they're scrolling through their news feed. Facebook says, we think you might like this page, click the like button. There's no content there to draw them in. Maybe if there's a like campaign that was based off of a little snippet of your content, then that might be a different story.
Right. That's a great answer. All right. Well, I'm going to hop off. I'll keep listening. I'm just kind of listening to you guys on another desktop, but thank you very much. Great conversation.
Alex. Appreciate it.
Popping in. Okay, do we have any more questions either in the question bar, or somebody can pop into the seat? Love to talk to you, and it's good to take advantage of Drew's expertise as well. And also, Drew, before we go, maybe we're just sort of waiting to see whether anybody else wants to pop on with a question. Talking about promotions and building, because at the end, okay, do you want to answer that?
Hey, Mac, how's it going? Thanks for that question. I think I think it's a great concept. I think it's even better once I actually get access to them. Do you have access to the lead generation ad capability, Mac? Oh, you lucky gentleman. I'm jealous. So for those of you that are listening that aren't familiar, Facebook likes to kind of come out with new things from time to time. Unfortunately, they don't always release it to everybody at once. So what Mac is referring to is now some people have the ability to run lead generation ads, which basically means Facebook is optimizing them for people that are likely to, give up their information to, the person requesting it. Unfortunately, I don't have access to them yet, Mac, or I would be testing them like crazy. Another thing that just came out recently, most of you probably know Facebook owns Instagram, and the Instagram ads platform just got opened up to a lot more people. Again, I don't have access to that yet, but I have some friends that do. That's something else you should start seeing shortly. And you know what, Mac? Good point. I run most of my ads from Ad Espresso. So obviously, number one on my list of things to do, I'm going to write this down, I promise, is check Power Editor to see if I have access to lead generation ads. And then after that, if I do, I'm going to be hollering at the guys at Ad Espresso to give me access to those. So sorry I can't answer your question, but if you do have access to them, I would be testing them for sure. I don't know if I'd put a lot of money into it because I don't know if they interact like conversion ads do. So if you're running a straight up conversion ad, your daily limit needs to be higher than if you're running a clicks to website ad to give Facebook kind of the leeway to go out there and find your audience. From what I've read with the lead generation ads, you almost have to kind of treat them like those conversion pixel ads. And even though it's kind of scary setting your daily budget at, say, $50 for one ad, most of the times it's not going to spend that much because there's not as many people out there willing to just give you their information. So that one's still kind of in limbo. The other ad set that does real well these days is video ads. I use video ads for some opt-ins to a warm audience. I'll throw in a little short video that basically says, here's your problem, here's my answer to your problem, click here and I'll provide you the solution. So that's another method. So Mac, thanks for asking. Sorry I can't answer your question though.
Fantastic stuff. Great stuff. Is there anybody else who's got a question or wants to jump into that seat? You're more than welcome. We're open to general Q&A now. And that's a great point too, Drew, about the solution. I've just been watching a lot of even pagan stuff, and he talks about there's two types of content, or two. There's solutions and there's suggestions. Mm-hmm. And he said that the so-called experts and topic experts, everything else, will give you a lot of suggestions because that's what they think you want to hear. But people want solutions, and they don't necessarily need to get them from an expert. They just need, if somebody knows how to take away their pain, how to fix a problem, they will take that solution and appreciate it. It will actually be serving information that they need, not what you think they need. And that's a big thing for us as online course creators, or any content creation that we do. We should also always bear in mind it's not what we want to teach, and it's not what we think people may want. We have to listen to the people and research our audience, create our avatar, and look at their problems, and then come up with that golden solution and take away their pain.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I know at the beginning of our conversation, we definitely talked about how people don't get on Facebook to be sold stuff. But if your message is right, you're going to grab their attention, and it's going to trigger them to stop and maybe click on your post to read it further. If you, let's see, I'm going to I threw this link in there earlier, but I'm going to throw it in again. If somebody goes to that blog post and sees the very first image on that blog post, I'm actually using that image in an ad right now. And what that does is I've directly related the photo, and spoiler alert for anybody that doesn't click it, it's a picture of a crying baby. So people on Facebook, just anytime you see a baby on Facebook, you have to stop and check it out because it's a baby. So I have a picture of a crying baby, and my ad message is, does marketing on Facebook make you feel like this? And so far it's got great engagement because people are scrolling through their news feeds, and I know what I write above that image isn't catching their attention, but that picture of that baby sure is. And they're stopping and they're seeing, okay, what's this guy got to say? And I have my little spiel, and hopefully it's good enough that they then actually click on it and go to my website. But those are the kind of things you have to think about when you're putting an ad out there. So going back to your Blab or Periscope courses, it might even be a picture of you, holding your phone, doing a Periscope or something with a little overlay, something like that. Eyeballs catch people's attentions. If you're looking straight into the camera and that's your ad. People scrolling through their news feed can't help but stop. It's a psychological thing. There's a lot of psychology that goes into marketing and advertising. It's a proven fact. People see eyeballs looking at them, they're going to stop and look at them as well. And then if your first thing is actually asking them a question, they're going to be intrigued. As people stop, they see a question, they're like, huh, okay, let me read a little more. So those are the types of things you have to be thinking about when you're, marketing on Facebook and running your ads. You have to get super creative with them. For a long time, I would never use a baby in a post because I was like, oh, I'm not going to stoop to that level. Well, guess what? I've stooped to that level and it works. Okay.
Beautiful. I say, and do what works. Do what works.
Right.
That's fantastic. So that just very quickly, and I'm actually been holding this phone as still as I possibly can, and that's why I probably look a little bit different. I've been holding this phone now for over an hour because, as I said, my son's MacBook decided to misbehave. So I've actually got the MacBook here controlling the recording, and I also managed to drop some links in there to my website. Heaps of free information, guys, at ecoursedomination.com if you're interested in online course creation. We don't focus just on Udemy. So Udemy is just a cog in the wheel. We look at everything, and also how to use online courses or online education to market. So if you've got a product, a really good way to market your product is to actually create a small course on how to use that product. And so look, there's different ways to use online courses or online education. Just check out eCourse Domination, heaps of free stuff there, plus all the past episodes of the podcast, plus a nice little $9 coupon there to my latest course offering on Blab. Okay, any more questions? And we're coming up to, we've been going for an hour and a half, even though we had 15 minutes for me trying to work technology here. I'm looking forward to next week, guys. I'm getting a custom-built computer. It's costing me an arm and a leg, but between doing regular blabbing and online course creation, I need the computer. So it's a doozy, and I'm taking delivery on Tuesday. It's not a laptop; it's a big desktop grunty tower, and I'm really looking forward to be able to bring some quality and not sort of sitting with a phone and trying to get the framing right and worrying about wide angle lenses and everything else. So yeah, well, actually, Jody, who's in the she was actually an ex-housemate of mine, and she was there when I was recording my very first course on strapping and taping, and she knew the challenges that I was going through when I was trying to do that course. So yes, it is about time I got a new computer. It's only been 12 months. I'm very patient. Okay, thank you guys. I think that's about it. We've got no more questions coming through. Once again, Drew, thank you very much for your time. This is
thanks for having me.
Important for us as online instructors. We've got to be marketers, don't we? We've got to be able to promote ourselves. It's one thing creating this content, but if nobody knows it exists or knows where to find it, then it's just going to gather dust. So you could have a wonderful information, but unless you know how to get it out there to the world, it's just going to do nothing. So Drew, brilliant. Thank you so much for your time. And this is take two. We tried this once before. Yep. The good thing is there was construction in the background today. It's Saturday. So yeah, thank you very much, Drew. Some very interesting information. Guys, please go and give us a try. Put us into action because you will start to see results.
Thanks a lot, Tim. I appreciate it. This was cool.
Absolutely. We must do it again sometime. Thank you, everybody, as well, for coming onto the Blab, participating, asking your questions, and jumping in the hot seat. Appreciate it. It's always fun. And we'll see you in the Blab real soon.